Appreciate you taking some time out of your busy calendars. Today we're going to be featuring HP Service Anywhere, the Big Data Service Desk. Today's event is being brought to you by HP Software in cooperation with Vivid. So we'd like to thank HP Software for providing the content for today's event. My name is Bill Sheridan. I am Chief Strategy Officer for Advanced Marketplace, a longtime HP Software partner. I also co-chair several of the Vivid chapters in different regions of the country. I've been in the IT service management space for about 18 years and pretty excited about a lot of the changes that are going on in that space, and really excited about HP Service Anywhere and some of the really creative and cutting-edge things that they're doing to help redefine IT service management. So our two speakers today that you'll hear from are both from HP. The first one we have is Chuck Darst. You'll be hearing from Chuck first. Chuck is a Senior Product Marketing Manager for HP Software, and he leads the HP IT Service Management Product Marketing team, and they cover HP Service Anywhere, which you'll hear about today, HP Service Manager, Configuration Management, IT Asset Management, and much more. Chuck's written and spoken globally on these topics, the approaches, and just the benefits can be realized from IT service management and Service Anywhere. You can actually find Chuck on the HT ITSM blog at www.hp.com/go/ITSM blog, or you can follow him on Twitter. After Chuck, you'll hear from David Barone, who is a distinguished technologist with HP. He's also Senior Product Manager for HP Service Anywhere. David has over 20 years of experience in the software industry as a product architect. His experience includes software development of tools like web technology, user interface frameworks, and integrations. As the Senior Product Manager for HP, David's helped develop numerous products and help them get to market in such areas as service level management, service lifecycle management, change and configuration management, and he's now part of the SPM team for HP Software. So a couple of logistic things, housekeeping things today. The session is being recorded, and then recordings will be made available to all Vivid members. We will actually be able to send out the link to anyone who's attended or registered probably 24 to 48 hours after this event, as well as it'll be posted to the Vivid website. We will have a Q&A session at the end. All users are on mute, so Q&A will occur through the question and answer panel in the typed format. So actually we're going to show you here just a sample of that control panel where you can enter the Q&A. So there's a picture of the actual Q&A panel, and what you'll see is you'll have a little bar on the left-hand side. If you don't see this control panel, if you hit the little arrow, which is probably pointing left, it'll expand that bar. Make sure from there that you have expanded the plus sign next to the questions chat feature, and that'll present you with a screen. You can type your question in that field, hit send. We will queue up those questions and address those toward the end during the Q&A session. A couple other things on just a few of the upcoming events with HP Software. The first one here you see on the screen is the HP Software America's IT Service Management Summit. It's going to be featured in sunny Orlando, Florida. It actually happens not too long from now, April 21st and 22nd. You can register. There'll be a link in the presentation that you can register. It actually is free to HP customers, but space is limited. So if you're interested, I'd recommend that you check it out and register quickly. And then finally, HP's obviously their biggest event, HP Discover in Las Vegas. Again, this year at the beautiful Venetian Resort in Las Vegas. It occurs in June, as usual, June 2nd through 4th this year. You can register through the Vivid website. Through there you see hp.com/go/discover/Vivid. And all Vivid members will receive a $300 discount off the $1,795 fee if they register. And just something to note is that actually on June 1st there will be some deep dive sessions from the 1st to the from 1 o'clock till 5 o'clock. So if you can even get there a little early and get there a day early, you can catch some really insightful information, some of the sessions. You can find more information about this on the Vivid website under the training section. So with that, I am going to transition over to Chuck so that Chuck can introduce you a little bit more on HP Service Anywhere, and I'll talk to everybody back again during the Q&A session. So Chuck, you there?
Yes, thanks, Bill. So again, Chuck Darst here, and I have a few slides here. Then I'm going to hand it over to David, who's going to give you an overview, further overview of what's new with the Service Anywhere March release. Then we'll come back with a few concluding comments and some questions and answers. So I'm actually out in sunny Las Vegas, speaking of sunny places, along with Orlando. And we're actually showing Service Anywhere, Service Manager, and Propel at the Help Desk Institute Annual Conference, HDI, here this week. So if anybody is listening to this and is out here in Las Vegas, please stop by and see us. So just an overview, next slide please, of some of the things that are going on in the industry today. And for people that have been in this business, more than 5 years, you've seen huge changes in the whole things around the service desk and ITSM business. So the whole kind of pressure to be able to have simpler ways of interacting with a system, so codeless configuration, time to value, also the speed in which things are undertaken and the speed at which IT has to respond, and also the speed which the service desk has to be able to support those changes, and that's not slowing down. So out of this, arose the HP Service Anywhere program. And the current version of HP Service Anywhere released approximately about 1.5 years ago, actually a little bit less, and we have a very agile approach, and we've got multiple releases that come, but some major releases that 3 to 4 times a year, and this is a very substantial release. So next slide, please. And as we go through here, I want to tie it back just to a couple things. We talk about big data, and of course we love the big data capabilities, but there's a lot that goes into Service Anywhere. It's a full-featured IT service desk delivered via SaaS, natively built for SaaS. But out of that, with that kind of designed for purpose approach that we have in Service Anywhere, then complemented by those big data capabilities. And as part of David's presentation and demo today, you're going to see capabilities that how we help improve staff efficiency, and that's really focused on the people that are working on the service desk day in, day out, so the people doing incident problem change management. We'll also look at some of the new end-user self-service capabilities, surveys, for example, and some of the new layouts there. And that's really intended around improving the end-user experience associated with the service desk. So we talked about self-sufficiency, ticket reduction, and really the outcome of that with satisfaction. And again, we'll show you how we can survey that. And then lastly, we apply big data to process analytics and analytics across the board, so you'll see that. And the outcome of that is improving service quality. So the full-featured service desk, but then enhanced and complemented by those big data capabilities. Next slide, please. So again, we have a big list of things here. We're not going to go through all of this today, and there's a lot more to experience, and again, we're just going to give some of the highlights. But for this March release, you're going to see new things around surveys. You're going to see new capabilities around idea and proposal management, so ideation. You'll see a new module, release management. you'll see a number of other complementary activities, so a lot more capabilities around what we do for asset management. And then just, there's, again, a plethora of new things that complement some of the existing other processes, and you'll see that. But the key thing here that we want to make sure to, emphasize is that while the big data delivers substantial value and it's totally embedded into the Service Anywhere experience, you don't have to be a big data expert to get the benefits of that. Service Anywhere is a very complete solution. And then also, really back to our whole design principles, is to make that simple and fast for you to realize, and you'll see that as part of the demo. So not a generic platform, but really a purpose-built platform designed with the core users of the service desk in mind. So next slide, please. So again, just a short overview of what we're doing with Service Anywhere. And the webinar is titled Associated with Big Data, so just want to give a couple of key things there. So associated with the end user role, one of the key things that we will do using big data is based on what end users are asking about or looking for, we'll be able to present them back relevant and current knowledge. And the key thing there is that they can then help themselves and then also help each other. And a key thing associated with that is then increased self-sufficiency, reducing the total number of tickets that they, will actually hit the service desk. Then from that operator agent role, the same kind of insight associated with knowledge management gets presented to the agent that's working on an incident or a problem or a change, and is presented to them in a very seamless fashion based off of what they're doing, description fields, what they're typing in at that time, and so they can deal with tickets much more quickly, so improve that efficiency. And then also, the analytic capabilities help people become more proactive. So somebody that's responsible for problem management, for example, they can see what's trending in the environment and act on that. So that then kind of moves into that analyst and process manager role. And there are some great things we love to talk about, the change analytics that have come into the product, and you'll see some of this today. And to help the people that are responsible for those processes and the people overseeing the whole service desk improve the processes, and as a result of that, improve the service quality and also accelerate the service delivery. Next slide, please. And then a key thing while we're doing all that is doing it quickly and easily. So that's my short little intro. David, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thanks, Chuck. And thanks, everybody, for joining our webinar today. And as Chuck mentioned, Service Anywhere has been on a fast delivery cycle to bring great innovation and functionality with the theme of really repurposing the service desk together with big data analytics and a number of innovations. And what I'm going to talk about now is specific to the March release, which we just made available to our customers a couple days ago over the weekend. We're very excited about this release, and it is part of our continuous delivery cycle of delivering functionality, and you'll see a lot of rich functionality that I'll demonstrate live. There's three themes that I will introduce first before looking at the product live. The first is the theme of increasing IT customer satisfaction. Chuck talked about this briefly, but what we have really been doing, and it's a passion in the way that we design the product, is to enable users, especially business users, to be self-sufficient, to enable IT to understand the users better in terms of what it is that they have been looking for or asking for, so that IT can provide even better services, information to them. And of course, enabling agents also to resolve requests even faster, so that at the end we want to make the business user much more satisfied and happy with the services that IT provides. And you'll see a new feature for enabling the proposal of ideas, so we can understand what it is that the users would like to see from IT in the future. We've also added a number of features all around customers that have been demanding greater scalability, that have been describing growing maturity in the kinds of processes that they run in and behind the service desk. And the types of functionality that we've added here enables IT to reduce change risk, increase scalability in terms of the number of tickets and the number of people working in the service desk, not just in terms of functional scalability of the product, but in terms of the actual ergonomics of the product, data entry, the management of large number of groups to which we could do triage automatically of different work that needs to be attended to, etc. The last thing that you see here, very key in Service Anywhere, is that our big data platform has formed a foundation not only for a whole breadth of ITSM processes, but also for IT asset management. And there's great depth in the asset management footprint. These types of features enable customers to understand the services and the asset allocations that provide support for the services much better, get a hold of the cost and the actual utilization of assets as they relate to services. And all of that is done in a way where the asset management processes, data, and applications work side by side in conjunction with service management processes as well. So you could go from a support process that needs to be tied in to inventory management, procurement, and fulfillment automatic from stocks, or vice versa, being able to bring asset data such as vendor and contract information, make it available to support processes that will need it. I will not have time to demonstrate all of the functionality in this release, but I will start first with the theme of increasing IT customer satisfaction, and you will see a number of things around our self-service portal and its enablement of end users. We will look at live support, which uses big data in order to support agents to be smarter and more productive in providing support to users. Surveys, a new functionality that we've added that also leverages big data and has a very nice innovative design that allows you to truly understand the type of responses and the sentiment of the user base. And then ideation of proposal, a great way to do crowdsourcing of new ideas that will improve services or introduce new services that really meet the needs of the business. So let's take a look at this within the product. I will start first by logging in here into the self-service portal in Service Anywhere. You can see that in this browser, we'll actually maximize the view. This portal is enabled in this release with very rich theming functionality, so you can have very rich themes that meet your own IT or customer's IT's vision for the look and feel and the way that they want to be presented to the end users. Because this is a self-service portal that will be the face of IT. You can see here I've logged in as a user, Allison Cameron, who has come in to request support or look for information for IT. Key news that are relevant to her based on the location or the services that she uses can be found right away by her. Now, Allison is a new employee. She also just recently got fancy new iPhones that have come out and wants to connect her phone to the Exchange server at her company, and comes to the portal and can get that information a couple of ways. Some users are very search-oriented, and our big data search platform enables users like Allison to quickly search. So she will look for email on mobile, support. As soon as she types, there is a very fast suggestion of different articles or content that could support her through proactive search. If she goes through and does a full search, you can see that Service Anywhere will go through and provide results that are actually gathered from a variety of data sources. We can index on-premise content as well as content that's managed within the Service Anywhere platform, such as in articles, in service catalogs, in user forums, etc. We'll actually take a look at one article here on how to receive emails on a mobile device. Content like this allows Allison to very quickly get information that she needs. There's even embedded videos with information on how to set up on different devices, so she can find the information that's useful. Also on the right-hand side, we are always proactively searching for other related articles, knowledge, content, questions in the forum, or news that are relevant to the context of what the user is looking at. So there's always proactive information brought to them in the screen where they're at. Now in this case, Allison notices that besides setting up these instructions, she's going to have to install Aferia on her mobile device as part of the policy in order to get email supported by IT. And she's got a question about that she didn't find in the article. And she actually will click on the Ask Friends to ask a question about Aferia. What is Aferia? This is a question that she has. She will post it if she wants, but before that, the system automatically already lets Allison know that a few similar or related questions have been posted into the forum. Here's one that asks, do I really need to install Aferia? A user was wondering about this already, and can see that there is information here about a waiver that can be requested in order to not install it right away. And Allison's interested in that because she wants to get email, but she is not ready for the installation of Aferia yet. So she will ask for that. She will put here the request, Aferia waiver. And she will describe what she needs. Can I get an Aferia installation waiver? She'll submit this as a support request. And as she does this, she notices that the interface actually allows her to also request a live chat with an agent, which she thinks, oh, this is great. I'm going to chat with an agent and see if they can do it right away so I can get going with my request. So let's take a look at the agent interface. I will switch here to another browser where we see a very different interface. So this is the login landing page for an agent, where agents can set up dashboards that look at the analytics, both operational or analytic type of reports, based on the different functions and processes that are of interest to them. In this case, let's actually go in and look at the service request application, where agents will handle requests from end users. And we can see here that there is a chat request from Allison Cameron for an issue that she has. Can she get a Aferia installation waiver? And as an agent, I can go ahead and initiate a live chat with the user to help her on the spot. Now what you see here is our live support interface. This is an interface that enables agents both while they're doing live support such as in chat. Also when they take calls, this is typically integrated with a telephony system, so as soon as a call is taken, the pop that the agent sees will include information about the end user that's waiting or that they're chatting with. All of the contact information is presented here, their email, phone number, or other contact details as well. And if the user has any recent requests that have been opened or even resolved in the recent past, the agent can see them here for context. And in this case, they're working on the chat request that has come in, so that's already been loaded into the context of the agent. And I can go ahead and start chatting with Allison and say, hello, I will be happy to help you. And the chat is initiated. Of course, if I go back to the browser where Allison is looking at, she can see that the agent is already ready to help them. Great. Now, the nice thing for an agent as they work on resolving this issue is that we proactively already search and find for them related information that can help them. And you can see this in these bubbles that have suggested solutions for the request that has come in, incidents that may be related if somebody's having a problem or can't access a system, and there could be a matching incident that we could relate to. User CIs, in case we can see the actual laptops, desktops, or applications that user has been subscribed to, or offerings in the catalog that are related to what is going on here. So for example, the agent here sees that there is an offering for requesting an exception to the installation of Aferia, and we'll go ahead and use this offering to resolve the request automatically. It has an automatic fulfillment plan that will get that performed for the end user. And so as that is done, I can go ahead and let Allison know I have initiated the request. It will be activated shortly. And I can go ahead and put a solution. Waiver submitted. Indicate that I have resolved this through live support and save the request. Within this single screen, the agent has access to the end user information, related information, connected intelligence to whatever is needed to solve the issue quickly, and of course, whatever needs to be done so that the request is already resolved, actually has moved to an acceptance phase, and the agent can now go and work on the next task at hand. Now, at the same time, on the end user side, we have a couple of interesting things. First, the update to the request has come into the end user's portal. They will receive notifications when something is resolved, or if they are within the portal interface, they get a notification that comes in right here on the top right. You can see that a new action has been triggered for the end user to look at, and this action in this case represents a support request that has just been resolved. Allison actually notices that her email has started to work on the phone and can go ahead and accept the solution or reject it if she still has issues, and that way there is a full life cycle of feedback into support as to whether the issue was resolved or not. In this case, Allison will go ahead and say, yes, my issue was resolved. And by the way, as she does that, if we go back to the agent interface, you'll notice that we were waiting for acceptance. If I refresh this, you'll notice the ticket has moved all the way to done or closure automatically. Now, one thing that we have done here in this release is added the support of self-service surveys so that you can issue surveys at the different points in time to find out information from end users. It could be a survey, as in this case, after a support request is resolved, so that we can find out the satisfaction or the thoughts of the end user. You could send surveys in other types of situations, for example, to look at everybody that has been assigned a specific laptop model or is utilizing a service, and you want to issue a survey to find out what they think about it or any recommendations for improvements to that device, that service, that application. In this case, Allison will receive an email. It looks very much like this one, where we let them know your opinion matters, and the email will have a link to the request that was just resolved and a set of questions that can be filled in. For example, in this case, we've issued a survey that asks for a support rating. What do you think about the support you received? You know, awesome, IT rocks, or you met my expectations, you could do better. Whatever it is that you put in as questions can be answered. So this is one way that end users will receive a survey by email. Within the self-service portal, go back to our browser here. We also have the surveys appearing within the end user interface. So let's take a look and find out if Allison has received a survey that has been issued for this request. and looks like a notification has come in for a survey that she can go ahead and take for the action that was just done. So in this case, again, we asked Allison what did she think about the support she received. She loved how quickly it was done through live support. Why did you give the top rating? My request was handled quickly. The agent was very, very kind and caring. Very nice. Other questions that have been posted in this survey. Tell us more about your opinion. In the future, would you likely come back to IT for support if you have an issue? Yeah, absolutely. Would you recommend IT to your colleagues? Sure. Before opening a ticket, would you first search knowledge articles that may help? I hope so. Yeah, I will do a search first. And would you consider posting questions in the social forum? I will definitely consider that, and in fact, she did in this case. And there's a question here on about how many times do you request support in the past year? Well, I'm a new employee, so this is the first time. I've only requested it once, and I'm going to submit my answer. This is just a sample survey that we have defined here. And what I will show you next is how surveys are defined, and more interestingly, how the data can be analyzed so that IT can understand users and take action based on this. So back on our agent interface, let's take a look at the survey application. It is very easy to define surveys. This is the chat that we're done with. And I'll show you this one survey definition for the survey that Allison just filled out. This interface allows me to define surveys. I have a survey here that actually is right now in consumption mode. That means that it is being executed, but we have a full workflow for defining new surveys, preparing them with data, and then going into execution and assessment of the results. So this is a standard out-of-the-box workflow. Each survey can contain multiple questions that have been added. You can see the ones that we actually posted here, define one at a time, and actually I can look at a preview of the survey as I define it, where I can see exactly what it's going to look like. In this case, you can recognize it as Allison just filled it out herself. And then the other key thing is that each survey can be associated in its definition with a specific type of record in the system. The survey that we just issued for request satisfaction is associated with service and support requests, but I can associate them with incidents, with changes, with devices, applications, services. I can pick the record type. And when I do that, I also can select from different fields in that record that will be associated with my survey results so that I can have very smart reporting and analytics. In this case, whenever I get a response on support satisfaction, I will also be able to do group by filtering and slice and dice by information in the request and also in the survey submitter. So here are the fields, for example, that will be included for reporting. I can look at the request offering that was used, who was the agent that closed it, cost center, the creation source, whether I'm interested in the kind of service that was affected, the category, the group that worked on the survey. So all of these things, of course, are very important. So I can find out satisfaction ratings by different criteria. Or perhaps I want to know by information of the end user, such as whether they are a VIP, or their location, their language, their gender, etc. That data is mixed in, and I can see all the data in reports defined with the service. In this case, I haven't filled in enough data for my reports, but you can create a whole dashboard of reports for your specific survey. What I will show you, though, is an interesting big data analytics report that may be familiar to some of you that have looked at Service Anywhere before. This is a hot topic analytics map that lets you analyze the comments that have been reported back on the survey. And imagine that you get thousands of replies to your surveys. Obviously, comments tend to have some of the most interesting details. that unfortunately are very time-consuming to read one at a time. You're not going to go read through thousands. But through this interface, you can first do easy filtering. For example, I can filter to look at results of just specific ratings. If I only want to see comments from those that said I did an awesome job, or maybe those that said I missed the mark, I can easily filter. And then I can look at some of the trends in the results. So for example, I can see that there are a lot of responses dealing with the problem was fixed in just a few hours, or it was fixed right away. I can click on that and then see the specific comment if I want to read more around that. Here's a wish that I've been given a high priority. So these are other comments related for people that thought their tickets were not resolved quickly enough. And I can look at the specific comments. If I click on a comment here on the right, I can look at all the details of the answer and even a link to the specific support request associated with this response. This way, if I see some really poor ratings or some awesome ratings, I can go and look at the ticket, find out, maybe do some analytics as to why the response came in as it is, or take some action based on that. So a very powerful use of our big data platform for the analytics related to understanding exactly what users think. Now let's take this a step further and go back into the self-service portal. And let's say that sometime later, Alice is very happy using her iPhone, and she knows that the Aferia exception is looming to expire soon, and she'll have to install it. And she just heard from someone that there's a cool feature in for iPhone called Safe Switch that is an anti-theft type of feature, which will keep her phone safe. And she thinks, maybe this could be used instead of Aferia, and will make a suggestion to IT. So the suggest idea light bulb icon here allows her to put in a new suggestion. Could we use Safe Switch instead of Aferia? And we'll post some description of her idea. But as she types the question, right away she can see that some similar ideas might already have been posted into the community. And here's one: Smart Mode Safe Switch Anti-Theft. Theft was an idea with a lot of details submitted by one of her colleagues, Alec Yellow, a few days ago. It has lots of details about how Safe Switch works, and Allison reads all the details here, gives it a thumbs up. She likes this, and actually will even add some comments as well. I really like this idea. Can we get this supported by IT instead of Aferia? And she will post this as a comment, and the idea has now been enriched by her thoughts. So this is another type of way that I can find what the end users are caring about. We have surveys, we have requests for support, we can analyze the searches that they do. The ideation of proposal is very useful because it allows IT to start focusing on things that will truly make a difference to the user community. So let's take a look at that within the idea and proposal management application. And this is a new application that we introduced in March. It includes a very detailed way of looking through ideas that have been proposed. Each idea, let's look at one, for example, has an analysis workflow, so we can look at ideas, refine them, have a review and assessment period, at which time ideas can be voted upon, and either lead into the creation of a proposal or a change in case the idea has been accepted. And what's interesting is that the acceptance of ideas can be based, A, on the votes and the popularity of what has been proposed, but the other thing that also enables smart selection of ideas that can lead to changes and proposals is to look at the proposal analytic map that actually is looking at different business objectives that have been mapped and given specific costs and value, cost in terms of ideas that have been implemented to support that business objective, and the value that the business objective has. And we can then put in our vote for ideas that are related to business objectives where we are actually investing in, or if we see that there's a lot of ideas coming in a certain area where we don't have enough investment, we can make the argument for furthering investment there as well. You can see here, let's actually look at different business objectives that have been mapped. There are objectives around building customer partnership, employee satisfaction, high-tech innovation, and we can look at the specific investment that is occurring and make our selection of idea execution based on that. So with that, we have more that I could show in the release, but I'm going to go back into our slides to summarize some of the other things that that we are introducing to, again, make use of big data to transform the way that IT supports end users and provides services to the enterprise. We looked at a number of things around increasing IT customer satisfaction. Other themes in the release, as I mentioned, include the one for process scalability and maturity. We've introduced a new release management application that is very powerful in the way that it allows end-to-end governance of releases that can include numerous changes that are managed in terms of their schedule, their status. There is an overall dashboard that allows you to look at the execution of the different changes that will enable a large deployment within a release, all organized. So this is a good way to increase maturity, to define repeatable type of deployment processes managed by a release and manage all the different changes within that context. Another good example of something that we've done to enable end user kind of a scalability for agents creating changes is CI detection. So as soon as somebody is describing a change and describes CIs that need to be included or may have included CI descriptions from spreadsheets, that are a typical way to manage large type of changes, the identifiers are automatically detected and converted into relationships to the specific CIs that need to be included in the change. So a very nice productivity feature for defining changes. We have a new assignment engine that has a graphical triage view of different groups that will handle work based on parameters such as location, service categorization, and prioritization or impact of different work so that you can have the assignment be triaged automatically. And there's a number of things that we've done in general through processes that are being consumed and at great levels of and numbers by customers. We've added more support and scalability there as well. And the last thing that I'll mention here is around big data asset management, where we have been, again, leveraging our big data platform in a number of ways. First, to provide new kinds of reports that take into account more details about assets and really any kind of data that is available for reporting within the Service Anywhere. In this case, there are richer reports that look at financial and value information for your assets, including depreciation and depreciation simulations that can look at how the value of your services and the assets that support them is in existence today and how it will be as time moves forward. We've also looked at the important use cases of data integration and reconciliation and enrichment so that you can have the most robust view of the different devices, CI, services, and applications that are being managed and supported in your environment. And we have features for enriching the data as it is synchronized and reconciled into Service Anywhere. So you can also achieve some standardization of certain categorization and data modeling as the data is brought into the product. And the reporting foundation that is built into Service Anywhere, backed by our Vertica data reporting repository and a whole new reporting engine for producing rich analytic and operation reports within the tool is another area where we've increased our investment, and all part of the big data theme in the product. And with that, we've looked at our live demonstrations. I will transition it back to Chuck for some further details, and then to look at some questions and answers.
Yeah, thanks, David. So again, if you have questions, please type them into the question box. We do have a few, and we'll be getting to those. And actually, we're not going to go into like more details, just a few summary comments, and then what can you do. So you saw a variety of applications of big data as we went through the presentation and the demos. And we also saw a variety of the end user self-sufficiency. I would build on top of that is just that whole design, purposeful design for the agent view. So when David was showing that, we didn't look as much on the analytics side, but this really purpose-built service desk as opposed to just a generic platform approach. And then the last thing, is just reflective of what we delivered here, is the our ongoing commitment to bringing you value in a very continuous and fast way with an agile continuous delivery model. So let's look at the next slide. So if you follow www.hp.com/go/service-anywhere, you'll be able to get kind of like the latest, greatest on our website. So again, next slide, please. And the key thing I wanted to point out here is the free trial button. So you can get access to free trial. You'll be able to see all the 30-day trial. Actually, go back one slide, sorry. And be able to get access to what we showed here today. And actually, we have a guided tour. We'll talk about that on the next slide. But a couple key things also. If you follow us, make sure to track the HP ITSM blog. It's mentioned as part of my intro at the beginning. And so we'll actually have a series of more detailed blogs on what's new with HP Service Anywhere. You can kind of track events and things like that. And if you're into Twitter, follow HP ITSM on Twitter. So again, that's a 30-day free trial. The key thing on that is also we have a nice guided tour that will take you through and point out some of the high points associated with the release. So with that, let's go to some Q&A, and I think Bill's going to help us out here.
Yeah, I've got it, Chuck. Thank you, and Chuck and David, thank you very much for a fantastic presentation. Very impressed with Service Anywhere product and how well it shows. Wow, it's really, really slick. So let's start with, I'll run down some questions. I'm going to try to get through as many as possible, and I'll try to address them at least in the order they came in, unless it makes sense to do otherwise. One thing I will reemphasize, someone had asked the question about will the webinar be available offline. It was answered in the QA panel, but just to reemphasize that point is that the recording will be posted probably in the next 48 hours or so to the Vivid site, and everybody who attended and or registered will receive an email with the information and the link in it. So again, you will have access to this information after today. Okay, with that, let me throw a few questions out there. This one first one, I think, David, probably better suited for you. And the question is, how does the deployment timing of actual production instances actually work? Can this be scheduled?
Hey, and oh, sorry. There's also a related question in there that just asks specifically about the UI, the end user self-service. So if you don't mind, I'll ask David to throw that one in there.
Perfect.
Sorry to interrupt.
Great. Yeah, a great question, because one of the key features in Service Anywhere as a SaaS service is its continuous delivery of functionality. We have a number of what we call smaller CDUs, or continuous delivery updates, that have no downtime, and they're fairly transparent. They simply are applied as needed. Those can come as often as every other week or every month, with no impact to customers from an experience perspective. Then we have larger releases like what you saw here that are deployed in a staged approach, with the first update, as in this case, last Sunday, we started updating development, trial, and POC tenants. And customers have a preview window before their production tenants are updated. We work closely with customers. They can request when their production tenant is actually updated within a preview window time component. And then we also work with them in terms of deciding which of the new features they would like to enable or perhaps not enable as they decide before things are rolled into production.
So, David, I think the part B of that Chuck had mentioned, if you could address what is I think the question around when will the self-service portal redesign go live?
The new design is live now. Again, the update of specific customer tenants, or if you have a trial tenant right now, is occurring this week. So depending on your specific tenant, it will be updated anywhere from last Sunday through the next day or so. We have added new capabilities for defining themes in self-service. So if you have an existing tenant, you'll want to look at our theme builder to make sure to apply some of the new capabilities. We have libraries of background images for categories or for the whole screen that you can use, or you can define your own. So that's something you'll be able to do, and the refresh is taking place this week. If you have a production tenant, again, that will take place after the preview window, a couple of weeks from now, typically.
Excellent. Good news. So then another question. Actually, Chuck, probably you should field this one. It's how much expertise is required to take advantage of the big data capabilities? So that's probably a really good question for folks not familiar with big data expertise.
Yeah, and David's really our expert here, but I'll just, in the interest of time, address this quickly. I think as you saw the demo, very little to no expertise is actually required. And that's really one of the powers of the Service Anywhere platform, is how the big data is embedded into that. And one of the questions that we'll also get is, companies that are, or entities or service desk organizations that aren't as mature. And so there's no right or wrong answer there. It's just, different people are on different paths. And so while Service Anywhere delivers, great incident problem type activities, that big data can help complement those. So my point there is that organizations of all sizes will get the benefits, and really the core capabilities of big data will come through there with no additional expertise required. Back to you, Bill.
Yeah, so Chuck, I'm actually going to stay with you for one more since we're kind of on that topic. Maybe we can roll along. There's another question that says, there are a lot of service desk choices in the market these days. Boy, is that the truth. What is the most compelling about Service Anywhere in addition to big data? So what other thing besides big data makes Service Anywhere so compelling?
I'll be glad to.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, let me take the first crack at this, and then you can. I would. In that, I think a key thing that, as you saw David going through the demo, and I mentioned it a few times, is this purpose-built approach. And out of that, what we've seen is people being able to get Service Anywhere up and running in quick order, so they don't have to do as much customization. The system is more tuned for the user out of the box. And so it's the end users, the service desk agents, the analysts. So just very quick to get up and running with a very comprehensive approach. But David, let's hear what you have to say also.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, around that same theme, our design philosophy and focus is very much around business processes and championing the personas that own different processes in ITSM, ITAM, etc. So, for example, you saw the live support interface today. We have studied and sat side by side with customers, with employees that sit, from day in till the end of the day, trying to solve tickets quickly, doing first call resolution, and we are constantly improving the interface of that application to enable the agent to be as productive and to achieve those first call resolution type of targets. We do the same when we look at, let's say, an agent that works on changes and how to make them productive so that they can very quickly define a change that deals with many different CIs, track and schedule the changes against the different time windows, and we provide purpose-built interfaces to make that very easy to perform. We do the same thing with those that will be doing the analytics or creating, let's say, knowledge content, and give them specific streams to understand what are people searching for, what are they not finding, and what are the types of things that you could improve upon by providing better content in your knowledge base or in your catalog. And so in each case, we go beyond just providing a, let's say, toolkit or a base vanilla type of approach with forms, fields, and workflow, and actually look at the purpose for each process, what will make the user, the agent, productive, satisfied, and really more of a hero, and give them what they need. And we do it in a continuous basis, sitting with our customers and bringing back the best practices back into the product, rather than pushing that into the customer's hands to say, well, you can configure the product maybe to be better. No, we'll make it better for you. We'll work with you as a partner, and that's what you see, and that's what we're raising the bar in terms of the interfaces you see here and the purpose-built type of applications that come with the product.
So it's 2:58. We probably have time for maybe one last quick question before we wrap up with the with the final thank you and slides. So let me throw one more out there, and I will point out that for anyone who's asked a question that we have not been able to address here during the session, we will follow up with those individuals. Chuck or David will follow up and make sure that we do get those questions answered to you, so that that everything gets addressed. So with that, just one last question. Where did it go here? This one looks like probably David. It's where I just lost it. Is the hot topic analytic capability available in all Service Anywhere process modules?
Good question. We have it available, not in all. It is available right now to analyze surveys, to analyze incidents in relation to problem management, to analyze the search that goes against knowledge content, support tickets, and user searches. So, and Q&A, basically the user forum, and we have it in all of those applications right now.
Excellent. So, David, if you could just get us to the thank you slide there, just a little bit of final information for everyone. First, thank you to everybody who have attended the webinar today, and want to give everybody the opportunity to complete a short survey when the webinar ends and opt in to receive additional information from HP Software. Just again, one final reminder that the webinar recording, the slide deck, will be posted to the video website in the next few days. Those who registered and attended will receive an email with the links. We appreciate all your time. Hopefully you found this information useful and maybe even a little bit exciting with some of the newest and latest advances for Service Anywhere. So with that, thank you all for your time, and enjoy the rest of your day or evening.
Indeed, thank you.
Thank you.